How do you transform a cold, cavernous church into a futuristic house? Or turn dilapidated old barns into stylish family homes? From industrial wonders to ancient windmills, this series follows brave homeowners.
The original wall has come away from the chapel.
As they take on the seemingly impossible challenges
It's absolutely barreling down.
of transforming historic structures never built to be lived in. We explore the ancient master crafts and ingenious modern design it takes to build an impossible house.
It's another bit of history saved.
In this episode,
What have you done now?
this young, ambitious couple
I've got to get it unravelled. As soon as I saw the barn, that was it. I fell in love with it.
battle brittle brickwork
The barn's walls are actually bowing out. This could collapse.
and perfect artisan skills.
It's definitely a moment. You should be really proud of
Yeah.
To transform this dilapidated cattle barn all by themselves into a sustainable family home.
We want the whole property to be quite unusual, quite quirky, and a representation of us, really, as well.
Yeah.
To a tight deadline for a very special occasion. In Staffordshire, stonemason George Plant and his fiancée Sarah McGregor, a family support worker, are gearing up to take on the building project of a lifetime. With help from their parents, George and Sarah have just bought this 5-acre plot of land in the village of Draycott in the Moors, which they plan to turn into a small holding.
I've always wanted animals and I've always wanted land. I prefer to be outside than inside.
We've got some chickens already. We'd like some sheep, some goats, some pigs, anything really. I'd love a donkey, but they are really quite loud.
At the heart of their new farm will be a unique property. They plan to transform this run-down 200-year-old cattle barn into a modern and comfy 4-bedroom family home. It will be George and Sarah's first home together.
As soon as I saw the barn, that was it. I fell in love with it and I knew the potential it got, and I was like, come on, right, we're having this.
I'm really excited. George knows a lot more about how the building is going to look, how it's been designed, whereas I'm more interior, and I'm really looking forward to designing the inside of the property. We already class this as our home.
During the 18th century, cattle farming became big business in the Staffordshire countryside. Cattle barns were built to cope with the rising demand for dairy as the Industrial Revolution took off, and people flocked to the region looking for work in the booming cotton mills and pottery factories. Modern farming techniques have rendered these old buildings obsolete. But that provides an opportunity for ambitious house hunters like George and Sarah, who want to build an historic home. The barn has lain derelict for around 35 years. It was built 200 years ago on sandstone bedrock. Typically, cattle barns had mangers or hay racks to feed the cows. Low partition walls created separate stalls for each animal. The first floor was a loft to store the hay and keep it dry. Fodder dropped from hatches into the hay racks or mangers below. In its heyday, this barn was home to a whole herd of cattle. How can George and Sarah turn this cowshed into a family home? It's going to be a massive undertaking. George and Sarah bought the barn for £155,000, but it didn't have planning permission, so it was a massive gamble which took 2 years. It's got no running water, electricity, heating or drains. So converting this cattle barn into a home will be a colossal job. Had planning not been approved, it would have been a very expensive mistake.
This will be the master bedroom. You'll walk out of the master bedroom through bifolding doors, nice oak frame, glass. It might even be double doors, we don't know exactly the design of that. And then when you're walking along here, it'll be all patio all the way across. This will be a nice big space to bring the outside inside and that. That's the front door where you'll be walking in straight into the kitchen. And then this is still another door, the kitchen, that you puts in perspective how large the actual main hub of the room is. And then we come on to the final part of the barn, which we believe this is the oldest part of the barn. You can tell by the different brickwork at the top. It's quite an ornate cornice brickwork. And we actually believe this was just built first originally, and then it just got added on over the years.
Inside we've got one of the traditional features, which we're hoping to keep, especially the arches, but we'll probably recreate the wooden frame at the back. But it is one of the only features that are in the property, so we really want to work hard to keep it.
George and Sarah have grand plans. On the ground floor, they will have a bedroom at either end. The master will have an ensuite and a dressing room. The barn's central section will be an open-plan kitchen diner with a separate utility and storeroom off to the right. They will create a separate lounge next to the dining area on the left. 2 handcrafted stone staircases will rise up either end of the kitchen, leading to a second floor, where there will be 2 more ensuite bedrooms, which will transform the old cattle barn into a spacious new family home that they also want to make super sustainable. They're planning to put solar panels on the roof, add a ground source central heating system, and create a borehole to draw on natural spring water. There's a lot to do, and their maximum budget is £130,000, which sounds healthy, but on a build this big, it could run out very quickly. To save money, George is doing most of the things himself, but he works full-time as a stonemason, so he's only got evenings and weekends. And to top it all, their deadline is just 10 months' time. That's because they're getting married right here at the barn. Two years after buying the plot, with planning permission in place and build funds raised, work finally begins.
The build didn't start dead on when I wanted it to, because it was just money sorting it out and everything just dragged on. So it set us back about, say, 2 months. We put it back into like the winter, so we just don't want a bad winter now.
Their first task is to build an internal shell of concrete block to help shore up the whole structure. To try and make up for lost time, George has drafted in bricklayer Mark Hubbard, who's worked on barn conversions before.
This barn's probably not the worst I've been to for the bows and the walls and that. It's doable. A bit more, you probably have to take it down, do it again. This is on borderline where you could just leave it up there.
Now we've got the block work going in, we can really visualise how much the barn's walls are actually bowing out, so it's quite worrying to think that this could collapse.
But it's not just the rickety walls that need attention.
We believe this is the oldest part of the barn, so we took the roof off. While the roof's off, all the weight's off the actual brickwork here, because this is the part where we've got to take the brickwork down to replace the wooden lintel below, and we'll replace that with steel, and then we can rebuild that brickwork back up.
Every barn's different. You think it's going to stay up and you think things are going to fall down, and it never goes to plan, really, to be fair. The only way you can do is just take step by step and just see how it goes, and hopefully it'll stay together.
George needs to replace the wooden beams that have held up the barn for around 200 years. If he removes them all at once, the whole building could collapse. So George must extract the crumbling 100-kilo monsters one at a time and put 4 new steel beams in their place. to create a steel skeleton that will hold up the barn, hopefully, for another 200 years. This isn't a job that George can tackle by himself. So with limited funds, he calls friends in to help out with the heavy lifting.
More hands make light work and that, but they should be all right. Depends if they were out drinking last night.
Pay for monkeys, you get monkeys, don't you?
First of all, I've got this wooden beam out here, but I've got the old pins I've been in probably 100 years.
There you go. Help me.
You can only take one out at a time and then put the steel beam in, or else obviously the walls would start falling down.
Yeah, swing it out now.
There you go, any yours?
Set solid in here.
They must cut away some of the crumbling walls to release the tightly lodged timbers.
Whoa, calm down. Where's that crowbar? Going now.
Yes. That's the one.
They must be careful not to further damage the brittle brickwork as they lower the massive timbers.
There's no room to move. The steel ones are smaller, so they'll be going in a lot easier.
It takes equal care to raise the replacement 300-kilo steel beam into position.
Go down, Rob. Whoa. That's it.
They use brackets to screw the support into the wall.
Just make sure these are tight and just hand tight, so it just takes the weight, just helps take the weight.
Feeding time at the zoo.
This is
Okay, sure.
Every week we come. This is the only reason we do come.
Good job. Good job done there.
With their dream wedding 7 months away, the massive scale of this project is beginning to hit home.
Every time I look up there, I just think how awful it looks. So do you think we're still on track then? Still gonna get there?
I think we might get there.
They may have saved the structure, but they still need to finish rebuilding the roof before they do anything else. Having bought the barn for £155,000, their plan is to make it watertight and transform it into a comfortable 4-bedroom family home. George and Sarah are now 5 months into their 10-month rebuild. By now, they should be working on the inside of the barn, but they've only just completed the roof.
The roof's finished now. It does go a bit wavy, but we wanted to keep it quite natural, and that's what the old roof was doing anyway. And we've reused all the old tiles because we wanted to keep all the character to the barn.
George has managed to dig the trenches for the sustainable heating system. But with demanding day jobs, the schedule of this self-build is falling behind, and their wedding is just 4 months away.
I wish it was 6 months' time, put it that way, but the people who are coming to the wedding know that we've been doing the barn, so they'll just have to see a bit of mud, won't they? They can't. We'll put some grasses over it, it'll be all right.
George and Sarah will need to put some extra hours in if they want the barn finished for the wedding. But time is not on their side. And some of their plans for the interior are lavish. George is a stonemason and has come up with the ambitious plan of building not 1, but 2 solid limestone staircases, which in itself is a huge undertaking. First, he must cast a sturdy concrete base that can support the heavy staircase. Then he'll insert the first 2 treads into narrow gaps in the wall and bolt them down onto the base. For the rest, George will use an ingenious design called bird's mouth, where the treads are shaped to interlock. They attach to each other without any bolts, simply held in place by gravity and friction. To access both mezzanine floors, George must build 2 of these stone monsters, one at each end of the open-plan living space.
So we've installed tread 1. Tread 1 gets bolted down into the concrete. It gets chopped out into the brickwork as well, so it gets pocketed in. Eventually, when we put tread 2 in, we'll fill both of them together. And then we've drilled the 3 holes for tread 2.
Commissioning 2 staircases like this from a specialist firm crafted from sought-after and pricey Portuguese Molianos limestone would have cost George around £40,000. But cutting and installing all the stonework himself brings the price of this eye-catching feature down to just £4,500 to cover the cost of the limestone. It's a huge saving, but eats up a lot of George's time and energy.
See if it fits.
It's crucial that each tread sits perfectly level on top of the next, so the staircase rises to just the right height to reach the upper floor and remain stable. George uses concrete filler to secure the first 2 treads in place.
That should go in now, hopefully. The problem is I made the pin too long. You need to take that pin out.
Yes. Can we get it?
Yeah. You need to have to mess about with the glue then as well. Bang on. Surprised about that.
Each tread takes George 9 hours to cut and install. He needs 30 treads to complete both staircases. This part of the build will eat up a month of George's precious time, and the wedding day is bearing down on them.
Tread 3 is different. We don't need no pins because what we have is a bird mouth. This part of the stone will land on this part of the stone, so it sits over locking in, so it won't push that way. What's that drill, sir?
Oh, God. Did that last time.
It's about there.
Well, looks like it'll go down now. Yeah.
George uses a gantry and tackle system to carefully lower and lock each 250-kilo tread into place.
The money shot.
Looking good though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
I just don't understand how it supports itself. Like, it just baffles me, but yeah, luckily our bedroom's downstairs, so I'm all right. This is why I'm never going to go upstairs.
It's nice to show Sarah what I've been doing for all my life.
No, it's definitely a moment. You should be really proud, George.
Yeah.
I've just enjoyed spending time with George, actually, and just seeing what he does and him explaining things to me. Like, I don't know, I didn't even know he knew all of this, so the fact that he's doing so much of this build by himself is just great.
Some jobs do require a specialist. So George and Sarah have put aside a portion of their budget to pay for skilled craftspeople like blacksmith Lee Trumbull. Lee is making a steel girder that will anchor one of the stone staircases as it curves away from the wall and up onto the first floor.
It's been cut, mitered up into different angles to form the rake of his stair.
Once in place, the girder will remain on view.
A lot of my work is covered up, so it'll be nice to see the finished job and to think that it's something that I've had a part of.
Lee set up this workshop 25 years ago and has been working here as a blacksmith ever since.
Everything else in the workshop, including me, is old, but this is one of the latest welding masks with all the aircon, so nice and cool. tend to use horseshoes as lifting devices. The client's quite taken up with it and is on about leaving it on as a showpiece.
Horseshoes are traditionally given to newlyweds to bring good luck, something that George and Sarah will need a great deal of to keep this massive build on budget and schedule.
The hooks actually will be on the beam, so I think something like that. So it'll be make quite interesting with the horseshoe as well. Put a little bit of character on the job.
At the barn, George has almost completed the lower part of the staircase, ready for Lee's feature steelwork.
So we're up to tread 7 now. We've just stopped on this one while the blacksmith welds the steel. This will be the next part of this staircase. Then we could carry on with the treads. That frees me up a lot more as well. Then you see I can start to push on the build as well. So it'd be nice to get it done and in.
Lee's beam will support the stone staircase at the point it turns the corner, so its position is critical.
We just put a little mark there. That's where this has got to hit, just so we know that when we start working up, all the treads will be in the right position then.
We might just have to take a tiny little bit out of this brick there.
I just got knocked the bit of brickwork out just so it just pulls it round, so it just makes it level and that. We're just about a couple of mil out. That looks better there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A final weld fixes the steel in place.
Fitting really well. Pleased with it. Just hope he's got his measurements right, as we haven't got to come back and alter it. Leaving the lucky horseshoe. What's it, dude? All sorted.
All sorted. Sound. Looks all right, doesn't it, that?
Looks nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Put it in the right place.
Hope so.
The bespoke hooks will take pride of place on the steel.
That'd be nice.
It's something different, isn't it?
1, 2, 3, 4. Be nice, won't it then? Yeah.
Yeah, tidied up, time for a pint.
Combining traditional crafts and materials with modern building methods allows George and Sarah to bring their 19th century cattle barn bang up to date, whilst preserving much of its original character. It's a tried and tested technique used to reconfigure historic structures across the country. In Northamptonshire, the challenge of transforming this 19th century cattle barn and grain store into a functional family home has been a labour of love for its owner, Richard Sanders.
We've tried to restore the barn in all of its glory, but giving it a very modern, contemporary kind of look and feel.
The airy, open-plan living space makes a virtue of the original skeleton of the barn.
We could see this main beam and that main beam, so the ceiling was just set above this, but the purlins along the top and these higher level timbers were all completely hidden away. When we took the ceilings down, it was a kind of a eureka moment. The wood was in really poor condition underneath, so I had to have a lot of TLC to bring it back to life.
Richard took a monumental risk to extend the living space.
This stone is the original stone, but it's been moved. So there was a 3-foot wall here, which separated the grain barn from the animal barn, but it was in the wrong position because it was over here somewhere. So we had to move it back to make space so that this whole room worked. We managed to keep the stone. We have some steel now propping it up. You can see the bracing as well. Here and here, just everything we had to do just to literally hold the barn up whilst the wall was being moved. This is where I was very, very, very nervous. If the building had fallen down, I think, that would have been probably the end of the whole thing. But it stayed standing, and now, it's very, very secure. It's good for another 300–400 years, hopefully.
Back in Staffordshire, progress at George and Sarah's barn has been slow. The deadline for their wedding day is approaching fast, but there's still no kitchen, bedrooms, or even bathrooms. They don't even have any drains. So one of George's next tasks is to install an underground septic tank. But unfortunately, he's hit an impenetrable layer of hard bedrock.
I've got a bigger septic tank, which I suppose was a good thing in one aspect, but I've got to dig a bigger hole. It hasn't got to go down very deep. It's just the actual length of it, really, which is the killer.
But George hasn't got big enough tools for the job. This handheld angle grinder can only cut through a small amount of the stubborn sandstone rock with each slice. And the hole needs to be 2 meters deep. It's a futile battle.
Just need to run a few more cuts and get down. Once you've got down, it'll just flick up. Trust me, I'm a stonemason. With the wedding within about 3 months, I've got to get this in. I knew in the back of my mind I was going to hit rock, and I've hit it quite bad. The problem is it's stone and not soil.
Time is running out for George and Sarah. They should be getting married at this cattle barn that they are racing to transform into a home in just over 3 months. On top of all that, they've had some unexpected news, which is good, but it won't help them make up time on the build.
So we're having our first baby. Baby's due in October. So we've got a busy few months finishing the house, getting married, having the baby. We don't know the sex of the baby. We're going to have a surprise gender reveal at the wedding. The plan is that on the day somebody will hand us the cannons that are either going to have blue confetti or pink confetti, and George and I will just sort of pop the cannons and we'll all find out together what we're having.
It's wonderful news, but it's not going to solve George's problem of carving through the bedrock. He's still struggling to bury the septic tank in the ground, so they still don't have a functioning toilet yet.
It's important that we get as much of the barn done as we can for the day. As long as I can get ready there in the morning, I'm quite happy with that.
George has had better luck digging the trenches for the barn's innovative sustainable heating system. It works by extracting heat from the ground.
At least a really big mess, but we've had to dig 5 channels, 1 metre wide and 1 metre down.
He had told me what they were going to look like, these trenches, but I hadn't really paid much attention. So when I came back one day and had 5 massive holes in my garden, I wasn't really very happy about it, but it's just got to be done.
George has dug 5 colossal 45-metre trenches and now must install 1,000 metres of looped pipework. This will carry a mixture of water and antifreeze that will extract natural heat from the ground. A heat pump transfers this energy into a refrigerant, which evaporates into a gas. The gas is then compressed, increasing the temperature to a usable level, which feeds the barn's heating and hot water supply. It costs a whopping £24,000. That's nearly a fifth of George and Sarah's total budget. But any kinks or punctures in the pipework could cause the system to fail. An engineer will inspect that George has installed the pipes correctly 11 days from now, so they're going to have an anxious wait.
But you know, when they come down, you need to try and keep them in the loop because you're trying to re-loop it.
It goes where it wants to go, so you just have to go with it. You don't want to bend it a lot because you don't want any kinks in it or anything like that, but it's, yeah, it's hard work. I didn't think it was going to be this hard.
Just neaten this bit up a bit. There's another knot. It's taken a lot longer than we thought. I think you're getting somewhere and you just have to pull it all back out again.
I was getting wound up with that one then. I have to have a drink, I think. Some air.
I think you could do a load more. There was loads more under the grass. If you just pull these ones in, loop.
It's quite a lot.
Seven hours in, and the pipes are still tying them in knots.
Let's just sort it out now.
Is that the end? That's the end.
Yes, keep pulling that through because that's going to come round there.
It's tangled up already.
It's not.
It is. I can see it's tangled up. Look.
I'm pulling it the wrong way. I don't think that's the right way. Oh,
It is,
look
it
at
is.
it now. What have you done now?
I'm getting it unravelled.
George.
I've got to get it unravelled. Just let me sort it out.
You just put it all in
Just
like this. I give up.
It takes 10 hours of backbreaking work to install the 1,000 metres of pipework. And just as they think it's job done, George spots a problem.
Just noticed it's kinked there when I was looking down it.
What's happened, George?
It's just got a little kink. Just marking it up, so when they come and pressure test it, hopefully you can sort it out and just go from there. We'll soon find out.
This one kink could render the whole system unusable.
Just wait for them to come and connect it all up and make sure I've done it right. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I've done it right.
Yeah, I think we've been a good team today. We've got it done. George has done as he's been told, so we've got there in the end.
After 11 sleepless nights, the day of reckoning arrives. Engineers are on site to test the £24,000 heating system, which will be money down the drain if it fails.
This is a metre down. Once it's covered back over, any leaks we're never going to find again. So the pressure test is vital.
If it doesn't go right and doesn't get pressure tested right, then, well, I don't know what I've got to do, really. Obviously, I don't know if I've got to buy some more pipes or anything like that. So, fingers crossed.
First task, fix the kink in the pipe.
You want really good flow around the system because you're trying to collect as much heat as you can. And from that, it would just restrict the flow. So we just chop it out and put a new piece in. So we're now just putting electricity, a current through the fusion weld coupler, and it will melt the two bits of pipe together as if they were new. If you use conventional fittings, there's a chance that they come undone. You never find the leak again. This way, it's like one continuous piece of pipe.
With the obvious damage fixed, everything hinges on the test.
We flushed all the air out, filled it with glycol and water, and then we pressurised it 3 bar, and that'll show any leaks, so any snags in the pipe, any failed joints on the welding.
After an anxious 2-hour wait,
So we've completed the pressure test. The pressure didn't drop at all, so we can safely say that there's no leaks. So we've just released the pressure, taken the gauge off, and we'll just put the lid on and pack up.
They were quite impressed with me putting the pipes in. It was OK.
George and Sarah win another battle with the barn, and their wedding day plan lurches back on track.
I'm glad we've got them all done today. We do want to try and have the grass growing back for August, so we've got to try and make it look nice again for the wedding.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it, that? Happy with that, aren't we? So we can just crack on and get the hot water. So that's it, we can move in and have a shower up here then, can't we? So, yeah, it'd be nice, that will.
It's 3 months later. After a tough 10-month battle, the barn is beginning to resemble a family home. There's plaster on the walls, the lighting is going in, and the kitchen cabinets are in position. The bedrooms and bathrooms may still need some work, but that's not derailing George and Sarah's big wedding day. After tying the knot just up the road, they are ready to celebrate with their friends and family. They may not be raising a glass inside the barn, but outside the grass has grown back over their farm. They have a marquee up and in full swing, and they're ready to reveal their big news. They're expecting a baby girl.
So we didn't manage to get in before the wedding. It's a little bit disappointing, wasn't it? But I think we realised a few weeks ago, really, that it wasn't going to happen. So we've had a week off, haven't we, just to enjoy the wedding a little bit more.
Being there before the baby gets born.
Yeah,
but,
hopefully.
We're getting there, though, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's now nearly 2 years since George and Sarah took on the monumental challenge of transforming this 200-year-old derelict cattle barn into their first home together.
See the goats, look.
They've settled into married life, and there's a new addition to the family, baby Bonnie, who's just turned 1. Their new arrival took priority over the build, so unsurprisingly, it's not completely finished. They've got windows and doors on most of the barn, but there's still a lot to do outside. Fortunately, it's a different story inside. They've focused on finishing the rooms they needed most, and the open-plan kitchen diner is a showstopper. At the far end is the sitting room, which is warm, cosy, and inviting, perfect for a young family.
So this is the lounge area. We spend a lot of time in here, especially with Bonnie. We decided to have it carpeted in here, purely so it felt a little bit warmer and obviously so Bonnie can crawl around. We wanted to keep the exposed brick wall, just because we didn't have many original features in the house, so what we could keep, we really wanted to keep.
Now we're getting towards the end of the build and just finalising the last little bits, we can relax a lot more here watching TV.
Sarah and George certainly deserve a bit of time to relax. They've been working on the barn for 2 years solidly, and they've still got a long way to go. The stairs will ultimately lead to 2 ensuite bedrooms on a mezzanine level. But their maximum £130,000 budget was so tight, they've decided to do that at a later date. A big chunk of the money did go on the kitchen, which really has it all.
We did go over budget slightly, didn't we, with the kitchen. We wanted the drinks fridge, the 2 sinks, and also we've got the large American-style fridge. We did put in some ovens and a hob as well.
Glad we went for it though, didn't we?
It's where we spend all our time, it's where we socialise with family, friends, and obviously we like to make family meals together as well.
We're not going to change the kitchen for 20, 30 odd years, so we wanted to just do it once and have done. The water, actually, we've got our own borehole here, we put that in, so we haven't got no water rates or anything like that, keeps all the bills down.
George and Sarah really have gone the extra mile in the finished areas. And they changed the layout to make way for baby Bonnie.
So this is Bonnie's bedroom. I spent a lot of time designing this room. Originally, this was meant to be our dressing room, but because of Bonnie, we decided that we would change this for now. Bonnie's starting to spend a bit more time in here as well, isn't she? Which is nice. So we do spend time playing with the toys. One of my favourite rooms. Eventually, she will go upstairs and we will get a dressing room. The most practical thing about having Bonnie's room here is that it's right next to our bedroom.
And what a bedroom they have. Light, bright, and luxurious.
We wanted to create a really nice, calm space in here. It's a really large room as well, so we've been quite lucky that we can fit lots of furniture in. I chose the colours in here. It's a space where I wanted to create that was nice for me to come and relax.
And at the end of the bed, you've always wanted a bath, haven't you?
Yeah.
So the good thing of having a bath in the bedroom, it frees up a lot of space in the ensuite.
Another elegant room for which they sourced a statement stained glass window.
The hole was original, but we wanted an idea of what to fit in. So we went looking and we found a stained glass window, and I think it works well. It wasn't really in our budget. It was about £5,000, but I'm glad we spent the money on it now.
I really like it. I like the extra light. And it's also a really big feature, a big talking point. A lot of people ask about it. They're always quite intrigued about the design, the style and everything. We didn't want to make the bathroom too girly. It needed to be more practical. We've got the luxury in the bedroom. So this space, it was more just to have the shower, the toilet and the sink and just make it a practical space.
Given the ambitious deadline George and Sarah set themselves, all the finished areas are looking really smart.
We set out to have a family home, didn't we? And when we look around the house, I feel really proud. Especially proud of George because he did so much of the work. I'm most proud of Bonnie's bedroom. I loved decorating her room. I've made it really girly and just pretty. And there's lots of things in there that are from days out, family time together, so photographs and things. So I've really enjoyed Bonnie's bedroom. It's taken a lot longer than we thought, but actually, our first night here, we were a family. We all stayed here together, didn't we?
Sarah and George bought the barn for £155,000. Their maximum renovation budget was £130,000, which was always going to be tight.
Buying the barn and all the build up to now, we're about 270, 280. We've got another 50 grand to do.
That's an estimate to finish the upstairs.
We'll probably be around the 300 to 330, depending if we come up with any other issues, which we shouldn't do now.
Time-wise as well, we didn't think it would take this long.
George and Sarah originally allowed themselves 10 months to complete this project, which was always ambitious. It's actually taken 2 years to get this far. And for now, they're going to simply enjoy what they've created.
We've got 5 acres of land, so the plan is just to have lots of animals, really. You get too close. Not too close to my Bonnie.
From day one, we wanted to be self-sufficient, and I think we've got there.
Have a look, Bonnie, if there's some eggs. I've got 2 eggs. The plan is to just enjoy living here. We're not doing any building work. It's taken over. We need to just relax.
This is what we wanted, isn't it? Yeah. You know, wanted the good life, and I think we're getting there.
I'm really happy. We've achieved everything that we wanted to do. We wanted to get married here, we did it. It's our family home, and we're never moving.